Well, good morning and happy Monday, everybody. It is 8:15. I'm going to go over our materials because we kind of have a lot today. We're going to have our oil pastels, so we are going to be using our oil pastels. We also need our watercolor palette, so we are using both. You could do this with Crayola crayons, but I'm going to suggest oil pastels because we really want this very vibrant color to happen. With our artist, he hardly uses any kind of like marker or Sharpie or anything like that. He strictly only uses oil paint, so that's why I wanted to do the oil pastels today. And we just need a pencil, and then we are set. So let me go ahead and get to the next slide. We're going to talk about Tamayo Rufino, and he is a new artist to me. Rufino Tamayo is a new artist. I've just found him, so that's super exciting to me. I like finding out about new artists. And he is from Mexico, and he paints scenes that he grew up with. He was very popular during the 1940s, and a lot of different movie stars and musicians like to have his pieces, his artwork, in their homes, and we'll talk about that in one of the videos. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide of what we will be painting today. It's watermelon and orange. And here are some more examples of his artwork. Like the video said, he grew up in Mexico, so watermelons are native to Mexico. So I'm going to ask everyone to go ahead and get your pencil, and we're going to put it in the air, and we're going to wave it like we just don't care, because we're starting our Monday with art, and that's a great way to start your day. So I'm excited. I'm going to show you some examples that I did earlier this week. We're going to focus on creating patterns inside the watermelon with our oil pastels. And I chose watercolor and oil pastels today because it creates a really cool wax relief and texture that you can add, as well as paying homage to Tamayo and him using oil paint, because the closest thing we can get to that is our oil pastel. So let's go ahead. I'm going to grab a piece of paper. We're going to write our name. We are going to have it in in landscape. So we need to place our paper in landscape. This is portrait. We need what? Landscape. We're going to go ahead and write your name. And I really want to stress that we want these watermelons to be large, okay? Each one is about as large as my fist. Even this orange is about 3 fingers, okay, friends? So I don't want to see little tiny watermelons. Think big, okay? So we're going to practice our watermelons, and we're going to practice them large. So this is a warm-up. Come up to the top left corner. You're going to draw a line that is about a finger from the top, and this line is also going to be about a finger from the side. So we're starting our dot a finger from the side and a finger from the top, and this line is going to be longer than 5 fingers. It's going to be around 7 fingers. So here's 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we wanted a very large line, okay? So it's a finger from the side, a finger from the top. That's where we're starting our line. And it's longer than 4 fingers. Just pretend to add like two more fingers. Once you have that line, which should be relatively long, we're going to grab 4 fingers. We're going to place it underneath and put a dot. 4 fingers and a dot. And this dot is just a rough estimate. We don't have to technically get the line directly on top of it. It's just to guide us. And we have to do a curved arched line because we are drawing a watermelon that is cut in half. And we're going to do a soft etch line, very soft line. And that dot is just to help you. You don't have to necessarily make the line go directly on the dot, but it should be pretty close. Notice how I'm sketching very light, very light. And then we're going to come right across down here. So here's my dot. I'm going to move over maybe about a finger or 2. And I'm going to put another dot, and I'm going to start my second watermelon. I'm going to start my second watermelon. This is a warm-up, but when we do our watermelons, there's going to be 2 of them. And this line is also going to be relatively long, almost to the edge of the paper, longer than 4 fingers. This one's longer than 4 fingers, and this line is longer than 4 fingers. It's almost to the edge of the paper. Almost to the edge of the paper. We're going to go ahead and get our 4 fingers and place it right here. So our dot is going to be very close to the edge of the paper, the bottom. And we're going to do an arched line. The next thing we're going to practice is doing a Zentangle with pencil in the center of our watermelons. So I'm going to give you about a minute to think of a few different Zentangles. You can always do the etching pattern. You can always do polka dots. You can always do checkers. Any kind of Zentangle you would like, zigzag, stripes. And I want you to do 2 different patterns inside of your watermelon. So I'm going to give you about a minute to decide what kind of Zentangle you would like to do inside of your watermelon. So go ahead, use your pencil, and you're going to come up with an easy design that you could fit inside your watermelon. And you don't have to finish the Zentangle. I just want you to come up and brainstorm with yourself what Zentangle you might want to use. So when we get to the drawing with the oil pastels, you do not have to do the same Zentangle I'm doing. You can do your own. And when we do the Zentangles on the next side, when we flip it over, we will be doing it in oil pastel. We will be doing it in oil pastel. You have about 30 seconds left. So go ahead, practice those Zentangles. Practice them on the side if you need to. We have about 15 more seconds. So this is a new artist. I have not known his work until recently when I had to research him for this lesson. And he was an activist for Mexico, and he seems like a very involved man and fought for a lot of good causes. So his artwork definitely reflected his culture, which I think is beautiful. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and flip our paper over. I hope you've gotten a few Zentangles on your page. So get ready to flip your paper. We're going to go ahead and we are not using our pencil. We are going ahead and using our oil pastels. The reason we're not going in with pencil is because the watercolor paper, you cannot erase pencil very well. And often you would have to draw very, very lightly to erase anything with pencil on watercolor paper, and it will make your artwork look a little muddy and messy. So we're going to go straight in with our oil pastel. So same idea. We're going to get a finger from the side and a finger from the top, and our dot that we're going to start is roughly right about here, just like our warm-up. Okay, guys? So towards the left corner, the dot, which is going to start our line, is a finger from the top and the side. So it's right about here. We are going to draw it longer than 5 fingers, so about 7 fingers long. So it is going to be a relatively long line. Definitely longer than 4. So use your 4 fingers and then maybe add about 3 more. And that should be long enough. I am using my red oil pastel. I'm going to go ahead and get 4 fingers, 3 to 4 fingers. I think I'm going to use 3. I'm so sorry, friends. Let's use 3. So 3. And we're going to do that arch. And then I'm going to have you pick your first Zentangle now. So we're going to go ahead straight in with our Zentangle, and I'm going to do polka dots. Now, you do not have to do polka dots. You can do a different Zentangle. And I would suggest doing them medium to large, okay? You don't want them too tiny. I'm going to give everyone some time to finish their Zentangle pattern. And I'm going to ask for everyone to go ahead and find their black oil pastel and their dark green. So I'll wait for everyone to finish their Zentangle, and if you are ready like I am, you're going to find your black and dark green Zentangle. Remember, our watermelons should be large. This line is about 7 fingers, and we are using about 3 to 4 fingers towards the bottom. Should be taking up a good section of your paper, because we are going to have 2 watermelons. Here's another example. Alright, our next step is to use the green oil pastel, and we need to use our pinkies to guide us. So our green oil pastel is going to start about 1 pinky away from the red, and I like to do it on both sides. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm starting my green about a pinky away from the red line. The reason I'm doing that is because watermelon have a rind, and the rind is often white. And once you have that line, you are going to draw another arch that is not touching the red line. It is 1 pinky away. The green is not touching the red. The green is not touching the red. We want to keep this white of the page. We want to get the white of the page. And once you're done with the dark green, you're going to grab your black oil pastel and you're going to draw the line right next to it or right on top. So we're going to have the black and the green kind of mixing together. So we want the black and the green to blend. Just like that. Give everyone some time to finish that. We are going to have to fit 1 more watermelon, and that watermelon is going to start right underneath your first watermelon. It is towards the right. Our watermelon will be going towards the right, so this direction. We're going to stop the line about a finger away from the side of our paper, because we need to add that black and green. So I want to go ahead and we are going to start our dot right about here, right underneath the watermelon. This line is going to be relatively long. It's going to stop about 1 finger away. It is longer than 4 fingers. We're going to take 3 fingers and make a dot, and we're going to help with that arch. That dot should help with our arch because our watermelons are very large. And you're going to start your second Zentangle. So I want you to think, I did polka dots. You can do polka dots again. Maybe you want to do stripes. Maybe you want to do checkers. I did checkers in this one. You can do stripes. I think I'm going to go ahead and do some stripes. We are not coloring in the watermelon. I should have said that. It has to be a Zentangle. We have to have a pattern. Because when we add the watercolor, it will make the Zentangle pop. We're going to be using the same colors, the dark green and the black. Remember, we want to start the green line about a pinky away because we want the white to show. We're going to go over it with the black just like we did before, letting them blend together, creating a nice shadow. And his piece is called Watermelon and Orange, so we do have to add a orange in this corner, just like we have here. We have a little orange here and an orange there. So let's go ahead and you can draw an orange when you're done. The orange is about 3 fingers, so it's not super tiny. You can either use an orange or a red oil pastel. It's up to you. And the orange is going to be about 3 fingers. About 3 fingers. And you could put a zentangle in there if you want even. I think I'm going to put a little bit of a zigzag. And maybe a little bit of a stem. Because I think his had a stem. I'm going to pause here for everyone to catch up. We are going to do a background. We're going to make these little lines to kind of create like a wood pattern because his painting of watermelons looks like it's on a wood table. So I'll pause here for everyone to catch up. Make sure you have 2 zentangles. Make sure you've added an orange. The orange is about 3 fingers. Alright, about 5 more seconds and we're going to get started on our next step with the oil pastel, which we are going to do the grains of wood. And I'm going to have you watch me first. So I'll give everyone a few more seconds so we can have everyone's attention. I want to make sure everyone is done. Alrighty, friends. If you are not finished, that is okay. I'm just going to have you watch me. So I'm going to have your eyes on the screen in 3, your hands are still in 2, and you're just looking at me in 1. So you're using your eyes, not your hands. You're going to get a brown or black, or both, oil pastel, and you're going to be doing lines and stopping, and starting, and stopping. The reason we're doing this kind of pattern, and then you're going to put it in between, because we are doing the grains of wood. So they're kind of random little dashes. And then if you want to get really fancy, you can do kind of like a spiral. But then if you do a spiral, you're going to have these lines follow it all the way across. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to show you one more time. We're going to do lines that are spaced, and if you want to add a spiral, you just have to make sure that the next line kind of follows the spiral. I'm going to put them in the corner. And you can add other colors, like you could put some black or brown to kind of give more texture. So just think of short lines that are staggered apart from each other. Sort of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the A-OK. It is your turn to pick up your oil pastel. And you're going to start drawing these lines using black and brown. And once you do that, you're going to create this wood pattern. And when we add our watercolor, it will look like a wood table. There's no wrong way to do it. We just need some texture in the back with the brown or black. So I'll give everyone about a minute to do that. We are going to be using watercolor next, so if you don't have a cup of water, or if you don't have your paints out, you might want to get started on that as well. Having a paper towel is always handy. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you're done with the wood grain, if you're done with these little lines. All right. We are going to go ahead and get prepared for the watercolor. We do need a watercolor palette. We are going to need a brush and water. And we're going to start by, let's move some of this over here. We are going to start by coloring or painting in the red first. And we are going to do the wet method. So we're going to use water first and then color. I always like to put drops of water in my palette. So go ahead and add a few drops of water. Into your red. And you can add a few drops of water inside the watermelon. Hopefully the oil pastels will stop the water from going outside. So we're just going to go ahead and paint around the oil pastel polka dots or whatever pattern you made. And I'm just adding a little bit of water. I'm going to go ahead and grab my red and start dabbing that in and painting right onto it. We want this color to be a little lighter than the red that you're using with the oil pastel. So it's okay if your red is not super vibrant or super dark in color. We kind of want it to be a little lighter. So that is what we want. Something like that. We are starting with inside the watermelon first. There are many different varieties and colors of watermelon. There are the traditional red watermelon, but there's also yellow and white watermelon. So I've actually had yellow watermelon, and it's almost sweeter than the red watermelon. I've had it at the Ventura Fair. They have a gardening expo, and people were bringing in different varieties of cucumber, squash, and watermelon, and they had a watermelon test table, and I got to try all different colors and flavors of watermelon, different breeds, and that is super cool. I got to do that last summer. I do recommend going to the Seed and Plant Expo here at the Ventura Fairground. It was so fun. Alrighty, so I added water first. Now I'm coming in with my red paint. We live in a very agricultural area. We are very close to Mexico, so we get all the fresh watermelon. We are spoiled. We get awesome produce here in California. Alright, I am going to wash my brush off really, really well because I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to my orange, and I'm going to go, or naranja, and I'm going to go ahead and get my yellow. That's why I want my brush super clean. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to come back in after cleaning my brush and add a little bit of orange into my orange. The reason I use yellow is because I feel like our orange and red in our watercolor palette are very similar once you put them on the page. So what I like to do is always prep or do a base of yellow first, because it will make that orange just a little bit lighter, and so it won't look so close to the red when it dries. So I use yellow first. Make sure your brush is super clean before you dip it into the yellow. You want to keep that yellow nice and clean. And then we clean off our brush and we add a little bit of orange. And it will make your orange just that much lighter. The background color is up to you. You can do purple or blue. You can do blue and purple. But I'm going to suggest not using green or any of the warm tones. I want you to pick one of the cooler tones. So, any color past the green. I know they all look like the same color on the screen, but we got blue, we got purple, and we got brown. So I would use one of these three colors. I would not use black, because then you won't be able to see your cool markings for the wood grain. So I would use purple, blue, and maybe a little bit of green if you really want to. We are going to do wet on wet, so we are going to prep the background with water first. So you're going to paint with water first, and you're going to go ahead and start your background. Sometimes I like to do mine in sections, so I think I'm just going to start off with the top section first, and then I'll start prepping the rest of the page in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get some purple. And the nice thing is that the oil pastels should protect you from having any of the bleeding of color. Make sure that you keep this part of the paper dry where the rind of the watermelon is. Watermelons are super hydrating because they have a lot of water content, and that's why they taste so good on a hot summer's day. You can also clean your brush and add a little bit of blue if you want to add some blue into your purple. I always like to add multiple colors. Alright. This artwork looks really nice matted on some black paper. Definitely because it makes the colors pop. I don't know if I have any black paper ready. Do I have any matted paper? No. I'm really excited that I got to learn about a new artist this week, which was really fun. There are plenty of videos about him. I just didn't have time to show you all of them, but I will link the videos if you are curious about Tamayo and his life. He does do a lot of sculptures, so he's not just a painter. He also makes sculptures. He is a type of cubist, so he is a cubist artist. He is in cubist artwork, which is a type of abstract, I guess. It's it's kind of in the same branch of abstract art. It's called Cubism. He did do a lot of his painting in New York, so he did live in New York for a time. He also played guitar. He was a good Spanish guitar player. He played classical guitar, which if you came early or a few minutes early to the lesson, you probably got to hear some Spanish guitar. He painted, just like how we were talking last week about artists having different periods of time where they draw something over and over again or use the same color over and over again. This was his watermelon period, and then he also had a dog time period where he would paint nothing but dogs. Tamayo uses a lot of moon and sun references or symbols, so he often puts the moon or the sun in his artwork, sometimes together. And that is also a tradition from Mexico. They have a lot of folklore, so stories like fairy tales about the moon and sun. And so he plays off of that. Some of his artwork kind of mentions the folklore or fairy tales of Mexico. That's why they look so whimsical and dreamlike. Oh, we have friends showing off their art. Let me go ahead and pin you. This is so